Well, there you go. Hello. So it's Saturday today in West Wyalong, Saturday evening at the moment. And I think I've said before, well, I know I've said before that I pretty much work 7 days a week. Yeah, I need to talk about that a bit more, probably seek some therapy about it, really. But anyway, um, it is one of those things. Working on a local newspaper, you're trying to keep it surviving and keep it going. You got to mix with the community. I don't mean that in any like, oh, I've got to mix with the community. I like doing it. I like talking to people. I've said this before. So anyway, that's not a big deal. But yeah, maybe a bit of time to myself every now and again to look at pornography. No, to just relax and read a book or something like that. Anyway, anyway, today I went and covered rugby union. As any regular readers, listeners, viewers will know, and there are none of you. Um, I'm not really into sport as such. I'm not a team player. I don't really like that sort of phrase. People look at me like puzzled, when I say I'm not a team player. It's like I've said, I'm a pedophile, and they look, whoa, really? You're not a team player pedophile? Anyway, no, I'm not because I like to do my own thing, really. And that's, you know, it's been a quality in some respects, but it's been a bit of a downfall in others, really. Somebody said to me not that long ago, a guy who runs his own publishing company, and I've got to say, it's not really that successful, to be frank. I don't mean that in any nasty way, but it isn't. They keep having to move premises. They used to be in a nice, glitzy, globally type office in Sydney, and then they had to move to a kind of a house in the suburbs, basically, which was fine. They had a studio there and they bought it and all that. And then anyway, not so long ago, they moved to a smaller house. Soon they'll be living in a single room apartment, with all the people trying to do video and everything. Anyway, I'm not going to knock it. It's not nice to be knocking things, and I've done plenty of that in my time, to be honest, but it's not mainly for laughs, but it's not good, is it? It's kind of corrosive. Anyway, having said that, so I went to the rugby. Well, before I went to the matches today, they had an event at one of the pubs here, the Royal Hotel. A hotel in Australia is a pub, essentially. And it's usually because it's a pub that's got rooms. Most pubs in Britain don't have rooms, do they? Apart from the people who maybe own it or run it. But anyway, the Royal Hotel is one of the, fairly big pubs here. There's, let me see, 1, 2, 3. It's about at least 4 pubs in the town, which is quite a lot, to be fair. And it was a gold mining town, back in the day, 1874, I think it was, that the gold rush started. And they just dug everywhere, right? One of the hotels, the Tattersall Hotel, it's where it is because right next to it, I'm not joking, right next to it. So if you came out after you were drunk, you had to look out. Right next to it was a mine shaft, right? Where they started digging for gold back in the day. So that's what they did. They had a mine shaft, and then they thought, oh, we've made a bit of gold. Let's build a pub. And that's what they did. Kind of made sense in a way, I suppose. Funnily enough, I did a story this week on furniture store here, right? It's called Soundens, and it's part of the Furniture One franchise, right? Anyway, the people who own it at the moment are still the Soundens, right? And it started 130 years ago, which by European standards, obviously, is not a lot. But here, that's really at the start of the colonial era, really, in this country. And so anyway, the interesting thing is they always said about this shop, right, back in the day, you could buy a pram, a teapot, and a box of Gelignite. It's true, right? It was the only place to shop in town, right? You could get anything there pretty much. Anyway, they don't have the Gelignites anymore, but it's a furniture and furniture and soft furnishings store, buy your sofa and all that. Anyway, so they've sold it, but they've sold it to Furniture One, which the grandfather of the guy who's sold it started up back in 1964. So that's kind of a nice little story, and I did that and got that up there. Anyway, went to the hotel, Royal Hotel today. Wobbly Weevils. These are guys who used to play for the local West Wyalong Rugby Union team. Now, in Australia, every team has to have a name, right? So, in Britain, Yeah, I know it's not quite right, but you know, in Britain, right, you've got the English football team. In Australia, you've got the Socceroos, right? You have the Wallabies for rugby, right? You don't have the Welsh rugby team. You have the Australian Wallabies, right? They always have to have some kind of name like that, which I find very confusing. Also, what they always have as well is a nickname. So let's say you are called, this is true, you are called the West Wyalong Girl Football Club, and that means AFL, by the way, not soccer. You're also known as the Bulldogs, right? So you need to know all of these different names, otherwise you've got no chance. You need to know what the code is, you know, AFL, rugby, whatever. You need to know what they're actually called in reality, their official name, and you need to know what the nickname is as well. It's really complicated. Anyway, I went along to these guys. So they're called the Weevils and the Redbacks, right? Weevils are the blokes. I may be wrong about this, but I think it's right. The Weevils are the blokes and Redbacks are the women, right? They've got women's teams. I'll tell you a funny thing. Rugby league here. Rugby league's big in this area, right? And they're called the Mallee Men. You know, West Wyalong Rugby League. Mallee Men, right? I'm sure they've also got another nickname. I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, here's a funny thing. The women, I really rankled about this the first time that I saw this and heard this. The women are called the Mallee Chicks. The Mallee Chicks. Does that not strike you as a little bit, I don't know. It seems a bit weird to me, you know. But anyway, that's what they're called. Once I got used to it, that's what I call them. It's like calling them birds, isn't it? You know, the British thing, you know. Oh, look at that bird over there. Look at that. Look at that. You know, what a bird she is. I thought that had kind of gone in the late 70s, early 80s. No, 90s. It probably went eventually. But anyway, they've got the chicks here, and that's what they call girls sometimes. Hey, that chick, you know, she's real good looking, you know, or whatever. Actually, they wouldn't say good looking because they shorten everything, you know. So they probably go, that's a good chick. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. I'm not in that game at the moment, really, right? You know. Anyway. Oh dear, that's another whole subject. But anyway, so the Wobbly Weevils had their first lunchtime meeting today. Here's another funny thing. Local papers, they always call it the inaugural meeting. How often do you say that? What I always say to journalists, I know I'm supposed to be teaching people about journalism, really, aren't I? So here's a little lesson. So when you're writing about something that's a first of its kind, don't say inaugural, right? It's a ludicrous word. When do you ever say that? You know? Yes, I had my inaugural McDonald's back in February 1913. You don't say it, do you? You say I had my first one. I had my first McDonald's back in, 2023 or whatever. You don't say inaugural. Just don't use words like that. It's a bit like sometimes people, they send things in and they say, there were 400 participants. There were 400 people taking part, right? Just write it like that. You never say that, do you? How many people did you have at your wedding? Oh, probably 150 participants. Well, you just didn't. 150 people were there, or 150 people took part. Always keep it simple, right? Keep it simple, cut it down. Okay, that's enough of the teaching about journalism. So I went to the Wobbly Weevils lunch, not to have a lunch with them, but just to see them and talk to them. These are the old boys of the rugby union side, right? And they got together because they're all getting on a bit. So they'd all be a bit older than me, to be honest. I mean, they'd be in their 70s, most of them. But maybe, no, there are some younger ones as well. That's true. But anyway, the point is, these are all people who played rugby. And what they want to do is two things. They want to meet so they can talk and discuss it, have a bit of camaraderie, which is, that is a word you can get away with, right? Bit of camaraderie, and so one or two of the folks decided to organize this. And maybe about 20, 25 people there, which is brilliant. It's really good. Also, the other thing is the rugby union team, the main team, the first 15s, if you like, or what they call the seniors often, they haven't won a game this season. They might have won one today, but I left early. But they were doing all right and they were in the lead. So hopefully they succeeded. But anyway, it's also to give support to them, right? And to make them feel that, there are people there who are barracking for them and applauding them and behind them and all this sort of stuff. So it's a good thing. Good thing. Anyway, nice people. Went along there, had a chat with them, put a bit of video on Facebook. No, I didn't. I did that later. I did a picture. I put it on Facebook. Just told people what it was about, and I said, "Look, the match is on this afternoon. We'll be there." I didn't intend to go to the match. I thought I'll go to the Wobbly Weevils. That'll take up an hour or so in the morning, and then I can have the rest of the day to myself. I say that rest of the day to myself on the weekend usually means getting my bloody washing done, right? So I've got to go to the laundrette. Incidentally, at the laundrette, I've got to sort this out. They don't use any hot water. There's no hot water. It's all cold water, right? Now I looked at the attachments. I've got a hot tap there. It's sort of kind of sealed shut. It's pretty dreadful, actually. It seriously is. Anyway, so yeah, anyway, there you go. Laundry. While I was there, I saw all these cars just up the road. This is Wyalong, not West Wyalong, right? It's just up the road. It's about like 4 kilometers, 2.5 miles up the road, right? That's where I go to the laundrette. Saw all these cars parked outside the Toppy Town Hall. It's called Toppy. It's a nickname, right? It used to be Top Town. When they first developed the mining, they thought that Wyalong was going to be the place. So it's got a courthouse. It's got a village hall, town hall. And it's got quite a few other buildings as well from the colonial period. It's got a museum there, which used to be the courthouse. That's right. And so it had everything there. But anyway, what happened was the gold really, 99% of it was discovered in in West Wyalong, just down the road. So that became the place. Toppy is a bit, it's a bit left out there, really. It was a bit of a shame. It's not really got anything central about it. It's got a post office and all that sort of stuff, but no shops, right? You can't buy anything there. You have to go down into Wyalong to get a sausage sandwich or a sausage or a tomato, whatever. There are no shops there, right? Only thing's a post office. So where was I going with this? Okay, so anyway, they have the match. So I wasn't going to go to it, right? Because I thought I'd get a bit of time off doing laundry. That's where I was going in Wyalong. But I thought, as I do, no, I've got to cover the match because the old boys are playing, right? So they had a game before the main game. This is something to behold. So they're in the gear. They all get dressed up. Now, these guys range from their 30s, I reckon, up till the 60s, right? Some quite old guys in there, right? They got all the uniform on and all that sort of stuff. And they got a special uniform, for the old boys. It's brilliant. Anyway, before they go, they go on the pitch. They're on the pitch and they're, chucking balls to each other and all this sort of stuff. Some are visually impaired, I imagine. They miss a ball all the time, right? And sometimes they shouted orders at people and, they don't hear them because, they're losing their hearing. It's quite amusing in a way. Anyway, so what they did then was one of them runs on. Normally in a match, doesn't matter what match it is, does it? Is it football, for example, soccer? People run on with a drinks person. This bloke runs on with a load of beer cans, right? They're all drinking on the pitch. They've not started. They're all drinking. So they all have a can of beer each. I don't know how you could live in this place if you didn't drink beer or alcohol, because honestly, it seems to be the real social lubricant here, let me tell you. Anyway, most people handle it fine, so that's all right. Maybe they go home and beat their partner up, but which is another issue, which we'll talk about at some stage, but nothing to do with me, I hasten to add. But anyway, so they're having a beer, and I'm thinking, what the hell? Anyway, I was talking to one of the other guys who's watching, who'd done this some years before. He's in his late 70s now. I said, well, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Drinking a beer. He said, yeah. When we did it, playing the old boys game, he said we had to be taken out at the end on a trailer. I said, where? He said, I can't remember, but they took them away on a trailer. They just put them all in a trailer, towed them out somewhere, and said, all right, boys, sober up, and we'll see you later. I said, you're joking? He said, no, that's what we did. Anyway, they got this table there, right, by the side of the pitch. What is that for? Anyway, people start putting bottles on there. And I'm like, what the hell? One of the women who organizes a lot of stuff there. She also takes all the club pictures. She's a pretty good photographer, but she also gets herself involved when the match is going on by shouting and an expletive laden shouting at the referee. The referees are all amateurs, of course. And so she'll go, she'll start shouting at them and going, "What the fuck? Are you fucking blind or something? Are you fucking blind?" Like shouting her head off, you know. They've got little kids there as well and everything. They're all looking at her like, "What the hell?" Blokes are going, yeah, that's Janie, or whatever her name is. Anyway, so they have these beers, then they start playing. Now, on account of their age, they don't score, right? They don't bother with that. And it's just like fun, right? They're having fun. And by then, of course, they've had a few, well, they've had, yeah, but some of them have a couple of drinks, a couple of beers, midday, you know, just after midday. What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, so they're all falling over there. They're doing random passes. And anyway, it's quite amusing, right? Half time comes along. Half time, normally you get what, oranges or something, right? They come up to the table, they get a shot of port. I mean, even in the evening, right, after your cheese and biscuits, do you really want to be drinking port? It's like super strong, isn't it? Fortified bloody wine, which means it's got brandy in it, you know. So anyway, they're all having one or two of these shots, and then they go out and play the second half. Absolutely ludicrous. Anyway, it was very amusing, very amusing. Everybody's having fun. They weren't, you know, they're not rolling around drunk, but I mean, it was just, you don't do it, do you? One of the blokes, he'd come off every now and again, have a cigarette, you know, just have a bit of a smoke and stand there and shout obscenities at people. No, that's not true. He'd just shouting at them. Anyway, that was that. And yeah, so that's my Saturday, really. You know, it's I did get the washing done. I did get it dry actually, because it's been pretty breezy today, which is good. We're going to have a bit of an Antarctic blast though in the next couple of days. It's going to be pretty cold. Anyway, there you go. So tomorrow, yes, I don't want to let a day go to waste, do I? There's actually a rugby union gala on, which means there's a load of kids getting together. Now, they did actually invite me to this specifically, so I kind of felt I needed to go. When it comes to Friday, I'm always thinking, oh, what should I fill my weekend with? Maybe I'll have a bit of a sleep and read some books and, you know, watch a bit of pornography. No, I mean, watch some self-help movies or programs or something like that. But always something comes up. Anyway, I'm going to this thing tomorrow, this gala, 9:00 start, Sunday morning. And people do get up earlier in Australia, though, I have to say. And it finishes about 2:30, but I probably won't stay that long. I reckon I'll probably stay till about midday, you know, 2 or 3 hours. Anyway, there you go. That's what an exciting time I'm having. And I'm sure, look, this is good for me because I'm talking to myself. And maybe it's good therapy to be doing that. I don't know. Anyway, do subscribe because then it does make me realize there are actually people out there looking at this. And if you got any suggestions, just give me a shout. And do you remember the Muppets when the Muppets were on? I used to love that. And it was really, really funny because this was in this would have been when it first started. It would have been, I don't know, the late 70s, I think, probably 76 to something like that, right? And I thought it was great. And I said, this is going to be so big. And most people thought that, nah, what are you talking about? Anyway, as we know it, Kermit the Frog, right? Kermit the Frog. It did turn out to be a really successful program. Anyway, one of the things about it was, you know, there's two old blokes who always used to whinge and complain about things. And and the best thing was once when a bloke was one of the puppets was on the stage and they went, "Go back a bit, go back." And he go, what do you mean? He says, "Stand back, move back a bit." And they go, he moved back on the stage and they go, "Is that all right?" And they go, "No, further, further." And he go, Why do you want me to move back? Just move back, just move back. And he went, "But I'm as far back as I can go. How far do you want me to go back?" And they went, "Have you got a car?" Because they thought his act was crap. I had to explain that, get the joke across. Anyway, that was good. But I hope you don't think that about what I'm doing, you know. But if you do tell me to, yeah, go and get in the car, I'll know what you mean. Anyway, enough of this. Here's the end of this one. And yeah, you have a good evening. morning, afternoon. Make the most of it, right? Make the most of it. Life's too short to be messing about. And we'll talk again tomorrow, right? All right. Talk to you soon. Take care.